This Charmeleon looks clean until you actually grade it. Welcome back, this is MrGrade, and today we're breaking down Charmeleon. If you want to skip around to different parts of the video, here are the timestamps for your convenience. Now let's move on to see whether this card is actually worth grading, and this is very important for me personally because I'm hunting for cards to grade, so I don't want to waste my money. First, this Charmeleon's $43.71 raw. Now if I take this to my local game shop, they're going to charge me about $20 per card to actually grade it, but then there's a total shipping fee of $5, so let's say I did 5 cards, 10 cards, or even 1 card. It's a flat $5 for shipping, but $25 overall is actually what I'm going to be charged for grading this individual card. Now, it doesn't matter whether you pull the card or you bought it. If you pulled it, you can basically say you didn't pay anything for it. If you bought it, you're paying that $43.71. Now, if you get a tag 10 versus a tag 9, there's a significant difference. If we bought this card, then we might lose some money if we get a 9 or less, but if we don't, we actually profit in general. Now, let's move on to the centering. Now the centering can really make or break a card when you're looking at it. That's really the first thing I like to look at when I'm evaluating whether I want to buy it or not. Now on this Charmeleon, when we're pulling it up, we can see that there's about a 6% difference on the left and right. Top and bottom has about a 12% difference, and what we're looking at for the tolerance of this card is about 10%. So if we're going through PSA or tag, 10% is kind of your golden nugget there. If you're going anything above that, you're most likely going to fall into that 9 or that near mint area. So you want to stay lower than that. In this case, at 12% on the left and right. Now PSA is a manual thing, human grading. So there possibly is a chance where you can get this through and actually get it as a 10 still, because it's just 2% off. They may not even pay attention that closely to it, but it is something to take in consideration. At the base facts of scanning this card, it does not get a 10. So that's really helpful for us to check out. Now let's go ahead and flip onto the back of the card and scan that and take a look at that as well. Now the ratings here are the same on left and right and top and bottom. We have only a 2% difference between the top and bottom here, which is pretty amazing actually. It's really great on the back of the card. However, the back is a lot more lenient than the front, whether you're PSA or tag. Now in my case, I'm doing DegreeGrading, so it has to be less than 6%, which the back is less than 6%. Tag has a 30% tolerance, PSA has a 50% tolerance. Now, this does fall well for either of the grading companies that we're deciding to use. In this case, Degree is where we're at, so that's awesome. However, the front kind of screwed us over a little bit on that, so we know we're not going to get Gem Mint 10 just based on that front centering. Let's go ahead and move on to the surface of this card. When we're looking at the surface of the card, I'd say this is probably the most difficult part of evaluating a card, because the holographic is really hard to see in. So having a black light really does help you spot any kind of discolorations, any dots, anything like that, which at this time in my evaluations I was not using, but looking back I'd like to start using that, on all my cards, but going forward I am doing that. So when we're looking at this, what we're looking at is just like the borders, like that little the blue ridge that's going around on the back, and then we're also doing that on the front of the card and then working our way from top to bottom. And I'm looking for any kind of dots, discolorations, smudges, things of that nature. And as we go through this, we can see some clear dots on the actual border of the card and some discoloration as well. And this is something that we want to highlight because we want to then figure out how much does this actually impact the card. Now the back is not as impactful as the front. So going into the actual front of the card, if there were actual issues there, that is definitely more impactful than what's on the back. Now to our final segment, the corners and edges. We really want to be specific about this. I like to take my time on the front and actually work from the edges first and then work my way around the card and then come back to doing the edges. In this case, we ended on the back of the card, so I'm going to start on the back of the card. And when we're looking at this, I want to look at, are there any dots, silvering, any kind of like factory cutting, roller marks, anything of that nature. And on here, I did notice a small white speck. So I wanted to notate that, as well as I'm kind of shifting the card around and looking at the edges, I do notice that there's actually some distortion or some issues with one of the corners. It's not significant, but it is something that we definitely want to notate and look at a little bit further. Now, throughout my journey here, this is the 16th card I'm evaluating. I've only gotten back 10 cards so far, so this batch with Charmeleon is still going to be coming back in within the next few weeks or so. But I'm learning as I'm going, and I'm learning specifically what DegreeGrading is looking for. I don't know how this is actually going to change depending on TAGGrading or PSA, so this is all a learning opportunity for me. I hope it is for you as well. So let's do a recap real fast. The front of the card did have a couple print lines that we saw, but it was very, very minimal, only underneath angled light, and some places don't actually hold that against you. The back of the card is really where we saw those dots and other issues, and so that's going to add up to at least impact us a little bit, as well as a light scratch on one of the borders. Now on the back edge of the card, we did notice a small dot, as well as a minor white speck near the top edge. And again, the back of the card for grading is a lot more lenient than actually doing on the front, so it's not going to impact us as much as we think. And then for the corner of the card, we know some slight lifting on all corners, but it's incredibly minimal, but there was that one distortion on one of those corners in the back. And again, that is the back of the card, so it's not going to impact it as significantly. Now my gut is kind of telling me this is more of a very, very high 8, but can fall down into that low 9 as well. And so I think that just me being as conservative as I am with the actual approach of grading, I like to be a little bit lower in the actual grading that I'm going to provide. So ultimately, I would say that this is probably like an 8. But I know realistically, looking at some of the ones I've gotten back from Degree, this is probably going to fall as a 9. If you made it this far, go ahead and drop a comment down below on what grade you think this Charmeleon is going to get. And when I come back, I'm going to post the results so you can kind of keep in check to see if your grading with DegreeGrading is similar to my experience or not. Now, the question I have to ask myself is this worth grading, or should I keep this raw? I guess we won't know until we get that card revealed back. Until next time, keep guessing that grade.